named Tyler, who we found out later basically every day was drinking hard liquor, died of a liver failure at the age of 27. So after that very huge loss for her, she rebounded quickly and went into a relationship with her boyfriend, Matt, with whom she had her 4 children, had 4 children with him by the age of 27. In 2019, Matt and her made some more decisions besides just smoking marijuana, which they were avid marijuana smokers. We think it was prescription drugs, don't even totally know. Cocaine came into play, and they made some choices where they ended up getting their children taken away into foster care, and this was in Tennessee. And then in January of 2020, Heidi ended up in jail. And when she was in jail, one of our short conversations, she said something really important, that she had realized that her relationship with her boyfriend was very toxic and that she should absolutely no longer be in a relationship with him. And this was a long process for her to even say that. Then she also told me that her boyfriend, Matt, was going to turn himself into jail because he was also a guilty party and bail himself out with their income tax return money. And I didn't think she had any potential for bail. But when his mom called me on February 27th of 2020, not much before the lockdown actually, she was freaking out and told me that he also bailed out Heidi last minute. I had the worst gut feeling I've ever had in my life. It was like an alarm going off inside of me, warning me that serious danger was just around the corner. Needless to say, I was very riled up, got off the phone, called my best friend, who's really good at calming me down, and just after I got off the phone with her, Heidi called me. She had a deep voice like me, and yet it was high, and I could tell she was under the influence of something. But she wouldn't admit to that. She just said he was being so nice, and acted like she trusted him again. We had a very long and hard conversation that day, and we talked about a whole lot of things. I asked her, did she know that a popular hip-hop artist had lost his son to a fentanyl overdose recently? And she said she knew. I knew like she'd have nothing to do with it. But little did I know that this would be my very last conversation I would ever have with my daughter. 2 days later, they decided to party just one more time with the plan to part ways the next day. In the middle of the night, well, basically, let's go to my phone the next morning. I wake up and I see 3 missed phone calls from Tennessee on my phone, hoping they're from Heidi, that her boyfriend bought her a phone. Excited to call, but when I called, the woman answered. It was the phone call you never want to get as a parent. It was the phone call that would change my life forever. She told me that Heidi had overdosed on fentanyl, had been flown to a Nashville hospital, and was unconscious and extremely non-responsive. Later, I found out from her nurse that they had chilled her body to try to stop the damage and would be warming it back up the next day. So my husband and my son and I left as quick as we could, driving all night to get to Tennessee. And I walked into her hospital room the next morning to see her lifeless body with lots of tubes connected to her, very swollen, and her beautiful blue eyes and pinpoint dilation, just like Greg said. And 2 days later, long story short, she was declared legally brain dead because there was no more blood flow to her brain. Thankfully, she had decided to be a donor, one thing I'm very proud of her about. And so I said goodbye that day, we all did, but I said goodbye to her with the nurse taking a picture of her hand in mine and getting some lockets of her long brown, beautiful hair. To quickly have to shift to her 4 children, ages 5 and under at the time, wondering how I was going to tell them that their mother was no longer with us and that they would never see their mom again. That's my story.